Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be reviewing the Iwata High Performance Plus HPB airbrush. But first of all, I want to say a huge thank you to airbrushes.com who sent me out the airbrush for a review. If you check the description box down below, you'll find a direct link to their web store and you can find out even more details about this airbrush. Okay, so let's start with the unboxing. As we take a look around the box, guys, we can see some of the key features of this airbrush. Well, the first thing to note, it's a gravity feed dual action airbrush. It has a cutaway handle at the back, and it also has a preset handle where we can limit the paint that travels out of the airbrush. It also comes with a tool to take off the fluid nozzle, and it also comes with Iwata lubricant. Okay, another important thing to note just before I take it out of the box is it's got a holographic sticker on the box. This is to denote the fact that this is a genuine Iwata product, and I always recommend that you get your Iwata airbrushes from a reputable seller like airbrushes.com. Okay, let's take it out of the box. Another important thing to know, guys, is the warranty is for 5 years, but airbrushes.com, or the airbrush company if you will, extend this warranty from 5 years to 10 years, which is absolutely fantastic and speaks volumes of the quality of the components of the Iwata airbrush. So let's take a look inside the box. So inside the box we've got an Iwata sticker that you can place on your hobby bench. We've got a very quick guide on how to airbrush for the absolute beginner, starting airbrushing and putting paint into the airbrush cup. Inside the box we can see we have the lubricant, we have the tool to take off our fluid nozzle, and we have the absolutely beautiful HPB Plus airbrush. And straight out of the box, guys, the trigger mechanism is as smooth as silk. Absolutely lovely. Okay guys, what I'm going to do is just talk a little bit about some of the key features of this airbrush. Okay guys, with good quality airbrushes like Iwata, they come with PTFE solvent proof packing seals, which is an absolute must if you want to use lacquer based primers or lacquer based paints. Also, it has a cutaway at the back, as you can see here, where you can access the chucking nut and pull it backwards and forwards, which helps get rid of debris sometimes if you have a small blockage at the front of the airbrush. We also have a preset handle at the back which can limit the travel of the trigger. So if I was to press down and then pull back to release paint, I can actually limit the amount of travel to an exact precision every single time. So if I was trying to get line weights down on the paper, using that preset handle at the back, I'd be able to get exact line weights every single time. So it's a really nice feature to have. And again, the dial is so buttery smooth, guys. It really is. It has a 0.2 millimeter needle nozzle set, which is absolutely fantastic for fine detail. And what's really great about this airbrush is, coupled with the fact that it's got a really small tapered airbrush cup. Now what that basically means is, because it's so small, the airbrush cup, you can look straight over the top of the airbrush and you can see to the front of the airbrush. So when you're trying to do really fine detail, not having a large cup is definitely a bonus on this particular model of airbrush. So the key features of this airbrush is the fact that it's a really fine needle nozzle set, so you'll be able to get super fine detail out of it. It has a small cup which enables the sight over the top of the airbrush to be nice and clear. It has a cutaway at the back of the airbrush, and we also have the preset handle. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm just going to hook the airbrush up to my compressor and we're going to do some spray tests. Okay guys, I'm going to put a little of Com Arts acrylic airbrush paint, and this is called sap green. Not that that matters too much for this video, but just thought I'd say that anyway. I'm just going to place a tiny amount of paint into the airbrush cup, and we'll do some paint tests. Now I'm expecting some really nice smooth fine lines out of this airbrush, so let's test it, shall we? And just as expected, guys, some really fine lines indeed. And as with all Iwata airbrushes, the trigger action is so smooth, guys. I just stopped the video there, guys, while the compressor tank filled back up again. You don't want to hear that while I'm trying to talk. But basically, I was just saying a moment ago, the trigger action is so buttery smooth. The feedback you get from finger to the painting of those fine lines on paper is just ridiculous, guys. Beautiful airbrush. And these are some medium spray patterns. And a wider spray pattern. Okay guys, so let's conclude this review. So some of the things I absolutely love about this airbrush is the fact that for miniature scale painters, we're going to be able to get some ridiculously fine detail on our airbrushes. So say for example, you wanted to paint some OSL details on a Space Marine's eyes, you could do it with this airbrush. You wanted to add some really tiny drop highlight effects on a Space Marine shoulder pad, you can do it with this airbrush with absolute ease. I also love the fact that it's got a small airbrush cup so I can see over the top, and because you're going to be painting fine detail, you're not going to be needing to load it up with a lot of paint at any one time anyway. So that's a feature I like on this airbrush. Also the paint limiting system on the back, known as the preset handle, a fantastic feature to have. And overall, the just sheer quality of Iwata airbrushes are just fantastic. They're so smooth, guys. Until you've actually used an Iwata airbrush, it's hard I can't physically show you how buttery smooth and nice they are to use, but you'll have to just take my word for it, guys. They're that good. Now, this is going to be my second airbrush. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, this airbrush is going to be absolutely perfect for the scale model painter that wants to do ultra fine detail, but it has a 0.2mm needle nozzle, so it will be limited in some tasks. For example, when you're priming and using thicker, heavier paints, or using varnishes, or you want to do really wide spray patterns. If you're base coating a large vehicle like a Bane blade, for example, you might want to use a larger needle nozzle set airbrush. So what I'll be using, my Iwata Eclipse, which is my trusty workhorse airbrush, and I'll be using that for pretty much most of my grunt work, if you like. So base coating, priming, and so on and so forth. And the actual Iwata HP B Plus will be used for all my fine detail, and you'll be seeing me use this in future tutorials, guys. As like I say, I will be heavily using this for my fine detail work. So as always with all my Iwata review, guys, I find it hard to fault anything with them. They're just so awesome. If there's one thing you can fault with Iwata, is the price. But to be honest, as the age-old saying goes, you get what you pay for, and the quality and engineering of Iwata products are just second to none, guys. But anyway, if you own an Iwata airbrush, let others know what you think of your airbrush. Please put a comment down below, and thank you once again to the airbrush company for sending me out this airbrush. don't forget to check the description box down below, and you'll find out even more information about this beautiful airbrush. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.